our full review of the first full week of free agency. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Monday. It feels like much longer than just 1 week ago that free agency or the tampering period officially kicked off. I mean, after this first week, obviously some other things have happened since the last time that we've been on here with some other signings and trades, which we'll talk about, re-signings, all that type of stuff. But so far, this free agency has been pretty much everything a Vikings fan could ask for, and more. And there's still potentially some room to make another move as well, which we'll talk about in a bit here. But I don't know, man. So far, I mean, I'm feeling really, 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 really good about how Kwesi handled free agency to this point.
Yeah, dude, I don't think there's a soul out there who's sitting here. Even the biggest Kwesi hater in the world has to be feeling pretty damn good with how this is going so far. I mean, it's pretty much even a collective agreement outside of Viking circles that the Vikings are having the best offseason up to this point. It's hard to argue that. Obviously, huge moves right out the gate, or not even right out the gate. It took a second, but by the end of last Monday night, just signings started pouring in Monday morning or Tuesday morning, massive, to the point where we popped up on here again just to talk about a lot of the moves, and then all kinds of rumors like you see. Today we got the Aaron Rodgers thing on the list of things to talk about. Rumor that's still ongoing, but a big topic for all of last week. And then some trades and all kinds of craziness and all kinds of craziness, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, dude, it's been good. It's been good. But before we keep going and get into the show, obviously, we're gonna get into our free agent grades for the first week of free agency in general. Get into the Ed Ingram and Bradbury, Aaron Rodgers situation, and just what's going on with the 2025 cap space and the reasons why we are doing whatever we can to keep that cap space as high as we can for this year. But before we do that, again, everybody, we appreciate y'all hopping in. We're giving away a card just like we've been doing on every show. Your choice. Get the hashtag Skols in the comments, like the video, and subscribe if you have not already. Before moving on, though, let's do some shout outs here. We had FT Maddie in the building right away here. Vikings had an awesome first week of free agency. Yeah, dude, it was insane. It's not like I brought up the I already brought up the 2025 cap space thing, but it does feel like it's not over. Like there's tons of stuff we can still do. So it's gonna get interesting. I feel like before it gets too boring here. What's going on, George? I see you indeed, Maddie. Let's go. Bleeding Purple in the building. What up? What up? Who else we got in here? So lead the Vikings. What's up, dude? Jen, what's going on? Welcome in. Thanks again for popping in. Dan, my dude. Skol, everyone. Let's go. Ah, shit. What up, y'all? What's going on, Delton? What is going on? I think I'm so excited. We cut Bradbury, best offseason move yet. And we got a lot of them. Hey, Big Raylan. I don't know if we saw you in here last week. So this will be the first time I think this will be the first time I see you saying some stuff after all this craziness. Sure, Kwesi is great. He's got KOC and Flores telling him who to sign.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
A good leader listens to his staff and people that
Yeah,
I mean,
regardless of
you got to give him just as much credit as you give everybody else.
Exactly, and I mean, hey, if that means KOC or Flores, like whoever's pulling the trigger and making these moves in there, definitely knows what they're doing right now. And it's hard to argue against Kwesi right now because he set this all up. He got us sort of cap hell to even put us in this situation to even make this happen, even if he's not the one picking the players, which there's no reason to really think he's not, I would say, to some extent. Of course, he's going to get a lot of help.
And he's putting his foot down on tough situations. If it was up to O'Connell, Kirk Cousins still would have been the starter last year. But Kwesi had to be the one to be like, no, we're not doing that. Yes, I understand to a point, but also Kwesi is the one who does have the final say, and he does put his foot down.
What up, Bob? Yeah, exactly. No, Kwesi's there can't even Big Raylan, you gotta admit, man, Kwesi's cooking out here. He's cooking with this free agency everything up to this point, man, it just makes it obvious what he's been doing in this plan. I mean, we've been on here over and over again thinking we believe that Kwesi should have gotten extended before any of this happens, and this is exactly why. And honestly, I wasn't even like, we knew what the plan was, and we felt confident what he was doing was getting enough money to go in free agency, fill up these holes that we have on this team, all those type of things, have a quarterback on a rookie contract. And still, I still would not have expected him to do what he has done so far in free agency. Like, even I didn't. We're Kwesi people, and I didn't expect him to be able to pull what he's done so far off. So, yeah, like coming in, like, who would have expected to come in here? I was hoping, like, hey, if I wanted Kwesi extended, but if somehow he left free agency without figuring out the offensive line, or at least getting one of the top guards, then I would be like, okay, now we're questioning stuff. Instead of that, he gets one of the top guards, one of the top centers, gets two defensive linemen to bolster both sides of the interior offensive line. And that's what was crazy, is I didn't even think that was going to be possible for us.
Yeah, and this from Dan is really the biggest point of it. Like, now, like, the draft, there's no necessary position that you need to pick from. Like, everything is still open to you. You have at least legitimate players in each spot. Now, I mean, of course, you're going to be drafted for depth. Of course, you're going to draft, a guy that can come in and help out those positions right away. But that is the biggest thing, is he opened up unlimited possibilities with what to do with that pick. And if you ask me, it feels much more likely that a trade down is going to happen at this point. But again, time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. Hey, we got Steve in the building, my dude. Joey, my guy in the building, Skol Shred. He switched his name back to Joey. What's going on here? I mean, obviously solid name, but Skol Shred, I mean, that's kind of unbeatable. Who else? Kinetic, I see you, my guy. Can only hang out for the next 30 minutes or so before we go live on our show, but came in. Hey, thank you to popping in, Kinetic. Appreciate it. What's your show again? Drop it in here. Anybody in here? You guys are definitely, I know it's Michigan in general, but still, if we can get some people your way. The center's old and injury prone. I'll give him a C+ on Kelly if he stays healthy all year. I mean, if he stays healthy all year, A+, that's fair, but it's better than Bradbury. Even half a year of him is going to be better than a full year of Bradbury. Hey, what's going on, broski? With all due respect, since when has Will Fries been considered one of the top
one
top of guards in free agency? He was the top guard in free agency. But yeah, top guards in free agency. I didn't mean in the NFL. Yeah. Though up until his injury, he was like playing top 3 in PFF grade. So who knows? He can't not be. But we'll find out. I'm not calling him the top in the NFL for sure. Right. Top in free agency. He was arguably the top after Trey Smith re-signed with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Anyways, but enough of that. We can get into what we think of each one of these signings, and we're going to give a grade for basically all of them. There's obviously a few. We'll kind of give an overall grade to a few that, were kind of didn't make as much noise and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll get it going. Eric Wilson is jacked up like Casey is. Look at Casey's arms. He benches 650. Down, Casey.
I wish. I actually haven't done much working out the last couple weeks. I've been too busy.
Yeah, I've been slacking off too, big time. Anyways.
But thank you guys. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
The arms are looking big.
Just like, nah, dude.
One or the other.
Again, everybody, giving away a card like we do every show. Your choice. Get the hashtag Skols in the comments, like the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, we'll just start this kind of. I think I kind of made it in order of when we pick some of these guys. What is it? MKM show over on the Maze Madmen channel with Maze Madmen, 3 boxing mechanics. Yeah, definitely. Y'all definitely got to go check out Kinetic over there. Blunt Bears didn't sign Fries. Oh, Bears didn't sign Fries because they already have him and Ryan Bates. Fries is a fringe starter, former. Whoa, broski, you're not a Fries guy, huh? We'll see. Fries better stand up. He better stand up. We paid him.
He's 26. So you're getting a young up and coming player, which Kwesi has liked to do in the past.
Yep. All right, let's jump into it though, with starting with the first one, and that is going to be Isaiah Rodgers, Super Bowl champion, kind of gambling issue type of guy who
Takes
has
risk.
very, very
Takes
solid.
risk.
I mean, yeah, he very solid PFF grades. Has never had less than 70 PFF grade in his first 4 years, and has 2 of those years with an 80 overall PFF grade, with most of that being carried by coverage. Shorter guy, but has been a stud up to this point. Yeah, man. I mean, I guess I'll let you kind of take that one over as far as what was
Yeah.
your opinion on him. What are you thinking for grades
Um,
here?
at the time, I was thinking C because I think around that time DJ Reed was gone. There wasn't a lot of conversation around what was going on with Murphy. A lot of these top corners are going off the board. By the time it's all said and done, I think I saw, was it George gave it a B? I think that's fair, and I'm going to give it a B to B plus because I think a year down the road, this could be a B plus to A minus signing because I mean, obviously it's a guy who missed a year. He was a backup. He was a backup for the Eagles last year, but did have picked up a fumble, returned it for a touchdown against the Rams. And it really is someone that after they signed him, just kind of getting a feel for what the local media thought, and kind of opinions on the move. A lot of people thought that this is a typical Kwesi guy, a guy coming off a contract. He's still young, and they think that there's a lot of room for him to progress. And a guy that you're taking, I mean, 2 years, $15 million, taking a pretty low risk on, and it could end up being a big time player. And now that you got Byron Murphy back, you got Blackman coming back. He really does feel like a guy that's a nice depth signing who could potentially be more. So
Nick?
for now, I think got to give it a B. Nothing crazy. It's a guy that's going to come in here and compete for a starting spot. But yeah, I think a B is fair.
I'm gonna. You said B plus. I am gonna go B plus. And honestly, I'm with you. Where in the beginning, when we first got him, obviously we're waiting all day to make a signing. Isaiah Rodgers is the first one. You liked what, like I already mentioned, like he's been really good in coverage when he's had the opportunity to go on the field. He's been really good in coverage. You're paying him $7.5 million. You're paying him not a ton for the production he has put out there in the beginning. Kind of like you were saying, at that time, there's cornerbacks going off the board. We're like, we need a good quarterback. We need any player that is good. We haven't really did anything like that yet. So I would probably give him a C if it was like day one when we did the podcast that day. But after time has gone on and you got Murphy, you've made all these other moves. And now Isaiah Rodgers just seems like one of those sneaky, Kwesi picks, like you said, that ends up going into like an A type of thing where he comes in and contributes on this defense and becomes a big part of it. I mean, he's still young. Like I said, looked good in coverage. And you got to love when Kwesi has just hit over and over again on these type of deals and these type of players. And we've seen it with Cashman. We've seen it with Byron Murphy the first time. We've seen it with Van Ginkel. And yeah, I think we're going to I think this is going to be the guy this year of the ones that Kwesi finds that value in free agency. And I think it's going to be this guy. So that's why I got to give a B plus to free agency or to free agency. So Isaiah Rodgers. And what do we got here? So on the poll, we've got 27% A, 11 votes, 27% A, 55% B, 18% C, and no D or Fs. Let's go. Yeah, the soft stuff. I don't see. That's all. There's so much. There's a lot going. I mean, the media's bored. They're just throwing everything they can get out there now.
Yeah, which we'll obviously talk about more when we get into the Aaron Rodgers stuff.
Yeah. Keep it on moving though. Let's go to the next player, and that is the second signing of the initial free agency day, and that is center Ryan Kelly.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
So for me, just on the signing itself, right? I mean, what was it? 1 year? Was it 1 year, $8 million? Is that what or is it 2 years, 16? Or do you remember exactly what the money was? Oh, you have it on
2
here.
year,
2 year 18. If I could read, that'd be great. So 2 years, $18 million. And I know probably looking at the structures and things, it'd probably be pretty palatable if you do move on from that second year. But like looking at the move itself, I do think you got to go probably B minus to B. Look, you took a position that you needed to find a new player at or some depth or what have you, and you get a guy that when he's healthy is great. Obviously, 9-year starter for the Colts, a guy that they loved there. But you do need to talk about the injury concerns. He has had multiple, big time injuries. I believe he only played was it like 8 games last year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know he has had some pretty bad injuries. So, but when you look at it from the perspective of we're moving, I mean, cut Garrett Bradbury today and put Kelly in there. Then that definitely makes you feel a lot better about it. So I think I'm gonna go right around B plus range with him as well. I mean, again, it's just when you look at it just from a perspective of himself, you're like, okay, I get it, solid guy, older, you're taking a chance here, but I would rather have a guy that might play all season long than have to sit through another season of watching Garrett Bradbury get bullied in the middle there. Obviously, officially released him today, so I love the signing. And if it was maybe a precursor, like, hey, we got your former center here to help you get the guy we'll talk about in a bit here, you love it even more. But yeah, love this. I mean, I do really, really like the signing. We had to get better at center, and Ryan Kelly just looks mean, and that's what we've needed. We need some size, we need some tenacity on that offensive line. So for me, I think B, probably leaning more towards B than B plus, but right in that range.
I'm gonna give it a B plus again. And the big thing is, it is because of kind of the domino effect of this, and this is what I talked about when we got him initially. Is you're getting a 4-time Pro Bowler who's been one of the better centers ever since he's came into the league. Yes, he's older. Yes, he's injury prone, all those things, which is that is a reason why it's not an A plus. And like, just like Big Raylan says, if he's healthy all year, it's an easy A plus. But that was the big one for me. It was the move that I wasn't expecting us to make early. I knew, and right when we made that move, I knew our offensive line was going to be looking a lot better because I felt confident that we were going to go get a guard. So this was something I thought a lot of this came down to ultimately moving around away from Bradbury. Like, us getting him made me realize we're not just going to stick here, get a right guard, and then go into next season with only that position changed. We made sure to revamp that entire offensive line. And Ryan Kelly, as soon as we made that happen, it became obvious that is exactly what we were doing. And that's why I kind of have to boost the grade up more, because it wasn't like, for Kwesi in general, isn't sitting around and holding on to Bradbury like we all thought he would. And yeah, man, I mean, at this point, like, there's people who arguably think we could have the best offensive line. Obviously, you need Ryan Kelly to stay healthy, all those things. But it really came down to, like, without Kelly, if we would have only got Fries and we had Bradbury, like, how are we looking at this offensive line? We're not nearly as hyped or as pumped about the potential of this offensive line as we would be compared to, like, if we did not get Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, and a couple things, I had said, if we had got new center, new right guard, and had given Brandel a chance to reclaim or keep his spot at left guard and compete, I'd have been happy, and that is the direction they decided to go. And I think this does show you, because I mean, obviously last year's draft, Kwesi was pretty excited to get Michael Juergens when he did. So I think that does show you that they do have a level of trust that Juergens is going to be their center of the future. And I think the fact that they got rid of Bradbury, I know they did a post June 1st cut, so it saved like $5 million or something like that. But you could have held on to him and let him compete at guard. But I really do feel like that they do see something in Juergens going forward. Then plus, I mean, if you also want to look at that left guard spot, because now you're definitely sitting there thinking Kelly's your starter at center, and then Fries your starter at right guard. Left guard, you do have Brando who's there, but then they also do like Walter Rouse, a lot of guys that they can kick into left guard. So bringing in the center and getting Will Fries, it does give you a lot of options of what you can do at left guard. And I do think, I know people were talking about letting Bradbury compete for guard. I was against that. I would just move on from him, cut the cord, be done with it, and toughen up the interior of that line. So that's definitely what they're doing here. And Ryan Kelly was the first domino to fall in that improvement along the interior.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And based on the community here, we got 17% out of 12 votes, 17% A, 42% B, 42% C, and 0 D and F. Which is fair. Injury prone. I see the C's, but hey, I like that signing. I know there's gonna be a lot of bees here. There's gonna be a lot of bees here for me. I honestly don't even know if we have. I mean, other than like some random guys that we got that we'll get into, but keeping on rolling here though. Next, we've got the old teammate, and like you mentioned earlier, the guy that maybe Ryan Kelly had some persuasion into going to get him, and that was kind of the prize at guard for most people, maybe not everyone, not Broski for sure. And that's Will Fries, 5-year, $88 million. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I'm going to go A- on this one because, I mean, look, coming off the injury, sure, I understand that. Kind of a young and unproven, understand that as well. But I think that's the big thing for me, the fact that he is young. I mean, 26 years old, coming off that first contract before his injury, he was playing like one of the better guards in football. I mean, again, what we needed was some size and tenacity at that guard spot. And we found that if he stays healthy, the fact that he's so young, we got him here for 5 years. And I think there had been teams that had offered him more money, at least from, lesser years, but more average annual value, or, however all that works. But I think this was a really good signing. Again, he's young, and that's for me, that's the one that's the biggest thing for me is the fact that he's young, 26 years old, and has all the potential in the world to just improve this offensive line in front of JJ McCarthy for the next 5 years. So I'm going A- on this one. I really, really like that signing.
I gotta go with you as well. I'm A-, and this is one of those signings. This is a position of need, and you gotta love us going to pull the trigger on the who everybody thought was the best guard in free agency. Like that should just deserve a whole letter grade by itself. But 5 years, 88 million. I do like that you feel confident enough that you're going to make sure like, hey, this is a guy we're going to have around for a while, not just like a 2-3 year deal like we've been doing with everybody else. Like we're going to make sure. Actually, I think it was the first 5-year contract that Kwesi has ever given out in free agency. And that's a big one. I would have to say, like you, like even looking into him before free agency, I was kind of worried coming off of an injury. He's young. He hasn't had a chance to show like long-term consistent production yet, which is something I look for when it comes to offensive linemen, because it seems like a position that you see a lot of consistency out of like the best ones in the league. Obviously hearing from the Colts fans and things like that, like it sounds like he was balling out before his injury big time. And this is a position that we need desperately. So a lot of it, I'm a little bit worried on the injury thing. I'm a little bit worried about long-term consistency and things like that. I do like that he's young. But you win out and got the top guard. Like the reality is you don't get to choose any guard you want in the NFL. You have to choose with whoever is out there available to you. And Kwesi went out and got the best one. And that's the reason why I have to give this an A of a position that we all wanted probably more than anything in free agency. So yeah, definitely going A on this one. It would be an A. Hopefully, I mean, this could end up being an A+ move for sure, as long as he stays healthy and he continues where he left off. And it looks like all you guys definitely are liking yourself some Will Fries. We got 73% A, 13% B only, and the boy Broski, if he's still in here, 13% C, or he's gone, because otherwise that probably would have been a D or an F. But Will Fries was the first A by a mile. Everybody loving that. Anything OL related, I'm giving an A+. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the hard part. It's like, yeah, I don't know how to, like, I'm grading this off of like what this means, like not just who this player is and what that means, but even like you only have it's based on a player's available as well, and contract to some extent. I don't think his contract was super ridiculous or anything. So overall, yeah, I think it's definitely very solid move there.
Yep.
Keep it on moving though. Next, we get to the other side of the ball, starting with Jonathan Allen, defensive interior Jonathan Allen. Let's go. What's your thoughts?
And again, when this happened, this was the first like big signing. Obviously, we knew of the visit Monday night, and then early Tuesday morning, the deal officially did get done. 3 years, $60 million. And again, it was one of those things when you initially saw it, the sticker shock kind of scares you a little bit because $20 million a year sounds like a lot, but then it ends up being a a 3-year, $51 million deal with $9 million worth of incentives. And
Yep.
again, with him and a guy we'll talk about later coming off some soft tissue injuries last year, was forced to miss some games. But when the guy is healthy, he is exactly what this Minnesota Vikings defense has been missing ever since Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell got here, and even a little bit before that. Just big body in the middle, power, pass rush ability. Last year, if you look at his PFF stuff, not great against the run. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. This was a must-have signing. And with him, plus the guy we'll talk about in a bit here, it still doesn't stop you from taking a defensive tackle in the first round or any round throughout this draft. It just makes sure, just exactly what Kwesi has done, it makes sure that you have someone at that spot so you can do whatever you want to do in the draft. I'm gonna go straight B just because of the age. It does have to play a factor coming off a little bit of an injury, but just getting an impact guy at that spot is what this team needed. And if he can stay healthy, man, Brian Flores is going to have a lot of fun with this guy, pass rushing specialist. I know a B doesn't make it sound like I love the signing, but I absolutely do.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go. I see a lot of A minuses here. Man, I've got to go A minus as well. And if we didn't, and this is like kind of foreshadowing, I guess a little bit, but if we didn't get Hargrave, I maybe even give this a B minus. I think it was the fact that we got both of them because I like the idea of Jonathan Allen. Obviously, been one of the best pass rushers at the position for years. Older now. What is he? 30 or 31? 31, I think.
Well, because one of them's 30, one of them's 32, 30, right? Or one of them's 31, one of them's 32.
I think he's 30. Down year, older, injury.
He's 30.
All those
just 30.
Injury, did come back from his injury and looked good when in his playoff game and things like that. So that was nice. But the big thing for me, and that's what I guess I'm kind of going, my grades are a little skewed by what has happened after this or things as a whole for that position. But I wasn't really expecting us to go to this position at all. And I was really excited about this signing, but getting Hargrave as well. Like getting both of them felt like an A+ to me. Like the fact that we got both these guys, yes, they're both older, but you're not married to them for more than, I think their contracts are set for, it's like you can go away from them even after like this year, I think on both their contracts. But you just go get guys that can do exactly what we're missing. And this is something that me and you even would argue against the people who thought offense interior was our biggest issue. Me and you kind of argue that defensive interior was. And the fact that we went and got guys to go and fill that for next year before even the draft started, something we didn't expect to happen. And then you got an older guy, but then you got two older guys that have been good in pass rushing. So I think that helped a little bit for me. So I'm going to go A-.
Well, if you look at when it comes to the draft, if there's a guy you like that needs a little more seasoning, kind of like Dallas Turner, right? We had two really good guys to play in front of, two really good guys and a solid one, Pat Jones, to play in front of Dallas Turner. So that's now an option to you as well. If it's like we like this guy, but if we drafted him this year, he wouldn't be an automatic starter. We think he needs a year or two to sit, kind of rotate and learn some things. Like you've now opened up that possibility for yourself as well. So it's literally this entire free agency got you some impact starters for now, but also gave Kwesi flexibility for the rest of this offseason.
Right. And speaking of that with Dan here, I said only B because the downside of 2 DTs is you're really good year for drafting. I think if there's one, because I still am team go after defensive interior in the first round. Like you got two older guys here. They could be gone after 1 year, especially Hargrave. Like Hargrave's 32 years old. Who knows if he's going to be here more than 1 year for sure. I definitely think this is, especially once we get into running back, I think that's something that we'll talk about as well. But when it comes to defensive interior, like you're talking about two older guys, I think this would be a perfect chance to go and even pull it. If you can get a guy like, what's the Michigan's guy? Michigan defensive. Kenneth Grant. Like you could go get someone like him who has a lot of potential more than he actually was able to show consistently in Michigan. And you can go grab a guy like that. Like I think this is a defensive interior. We got a bunch of guys that are in their 30s on this defensive interior. So we definitely could use some young depth there as well. So I'm still team, if there's a guy available that you really love, even over cornerback, now it's kind of closer, but I'm still go get a defensive interior guy if possible.
Yep, I agree.
I stand on saying that they trade back, but they got so many. Yeah. And it seems more obvious that they should trade back now. But at the same time, if there's a guy you love, pull the trigger, because I just don't know what the value of a trade back is going to be, especially with not many quarterbacks and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I gave that an A minus. We got 54% A, 38% B, 8% C, and 0% D or F. Not a single D or F yet has been clicked. You know, too evil isn't in here when not one F has been selected yet. But yeah, so yeah, let's keep on rolling here though. With obviously talked about him a little bit already, but gotta talk about Javon Hargrave, probably the most unexpected signing that we had.
Hey, Skol Mafia, thanks for the 9.99.
Hey, my God, I appreciate you, bro.
It is definitely feeling that way, especially now, which obviously we'll talk about more of that a little bit later on here. And I think with Hargrave, I guess I'll just kind of mirror the same thing I said about Jonathan Allen. A little bit older, coming off the injury, position of need. I think I'm going to give it right around the same grade, like B to B plus. And I think that's incredibly fair. Just because the only thing the age does concern me a little. But again, you have two guys that have spent their entire careers getting after the passer at that position. So I'm gonna stick right around the B to B plus for Hargrave as well.
And I did A minus for Jonathan Allen. I'm gonna go B plus. Obviously, I was probably, if you asked me who I would have chose between them, I would have went with Jonathan Allen for sure. But I did like I was thinking like, all right, if we like missed on Allen, then we gotta get like, it'd be sick to get Hargrave. That's what I was literally thinking. Up until all of a sudden we got both. Like I just, as far as like shock factor, shock value, that's got to be worth a little bit here, because I was not expecting it at all.
Yeah. And it was coming off the Will Fry signing too, like right after that.
Literally
so
right after.
It was,
it was up here. What? Yeah. It was like a little, little extra, you know what I'm saying? So, so just the adrenaline rush high that Hargrave, that earns at least an extra grade or something. But like I said, I give him a B plus. I give Allen an A minus, but I think the idea of bringing them both here is an A plus. I think that's an A plus move, something I was not expecting, and it makes us feel super confident about our defensive interior before the draft. And and we were just hoping that we'd go grab a guy in the draft, and then you're banking that he could make an immediate impact. And now that doesn't need to happen, and that deserves a big grade from me.
Yeah, well, it's just great. Finally seeing a general manager and seeing Kwesi just realize like the interiors on both sides of the line were not good enough. We have to address it, and that's exactly what they did here. And that if anything else, should give you should give you just good feelings about the way that this offseason has started.
That's already insane. Like the players we already talked about, is crazy that it even happened.
Yeah.
What do we got here? We got 33% A, 58% B, 8% C, and 0 D's or F's. Hey, what's going on, Darren? I know Casey just shouted you out, but all right. Going to next here. Probably won't do a poll on this one. This is kind of the others group, and that's Justin Skule, Tavier Thomas.
Tavier
Thomas, and Eric Wilson, old Viking. I guess if I was just going to throw a random grade at others, obviously you're not paying these guys a bunch of money. I mean, I would give this kind of a B plus for random signings, mostly because you get two guys in Eric Wilson and Thomas who are known to be really good on special teams, something that we definitely need, especially with us losing, what's the wide receiver? Sherfield. Us losing Sherfield, that was going to be a big problem. And now you gotta fill that role with Thomas. And then we've seen Eric Wilson. He kind of was a special teams specialist when he was on our team. And then Justin Skule, man, I think he's going to end up being that really sneaky signing for us, as far as like a guy that can fill in for the Vikings at any moment when we need him to. Maybe it's really early because we don't know what's going to happen with Christian Darrisaw. But last year in a handful of games, he ended up having like an 80 overall. He started like 5 games. He had an 80 overall PFF grade, like 70 pass blocking, and I think like 79 run blocking. Definitely very, very solid, and could be just a sneaky depth piece for guys you're not paying a bunch of money for.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I like too is if like you said, he could start the season at left tackle if he needs to, if Darrison's not ready to go. But also when you get into training camp, I think this move here allows you, if they're dead set on experimenting with Walter Rouse at left guard or right guard or whatever, like a backup for right guard. This is a great opportunity now where Skol steps in at your tackle spots, and then it allows you to kind of mess around with getting Walter Rouse some snaps at that guard spot in training camp and whatnot. So it's just an all around a couple good depth signings. I mean, Skol to me is the biggest one. Just you can never have too many offensive linemen, as we saw last year. And so now you have two guys who can both be swing backup tackles, but you can also, do what you want with some of those guys at guard now too. So good depth signings. I think you're at B+. I think that's pretty good for me as well.
Darren, we'll get into that. We'll get in that in a second here. Next one is just re-signing grades in general. Obviously, we re-signed Byron Murphy Jr., Harry the Hitman came back, Aaron Jones, Theo Jackson, and Ryan Wright. Man, I guess, I don't know. I'll let you take that one away first.
I'm going A-. I love the Byron Murphy signing, and now that we're all seeing Derek Stingley's contract, I mean, Byron Murphy's contract, it does not look bad in comparison now. And Stingley obviously is when these like big time cornerbacks get signed, that's going to kind of be the standard. So $22 million per season average annual value for Murphy, not bad at all. Harrison Smith, love having Harry back, 1 year, $10 million deal. Again, just no buying him. Theo Jackson's going to have to step in at that spot, which I like the Theo Jackson signing as well. But Harrison Smith, having him back to kind of just be the mentor and just like the vet in that defensive backfield, who still has a lot of talent, as we saw last year. I mean, sure, he's 36 years old now, so he's declining a little bit, but I do really, really like that signing. Aaron Jones, having a running back at that spot, a guy who knows your system when you played well in it, and now that you got him kind of a quasi RB2 to play with, I think is going to take a lot off his plate. So I like that signing as well. And Ryan Wright is solid. I mean, he's had his ups and downs, but I mean, obviously, it sounds like they're still going to bring in competition for him, just making sure you have a guy at that spot. I'm going to say A- on all these, just because I love Murphy. It's great having Smith back. I really like the Aaron Jones signing as well. And then Theo Jackson, I think there's a lot of untapped potential there. They've liked him for years. So I'm going A- mainly just because of Byron Murphy. But yeah, I think these are all really nice re-signings.
I'm going to go with, I think I'm going to end up going with the B. I'm going to go with the B here. Obviously, I like a lot here. I like the Byron Murphy thing. Obviously, the $22 million felt like a lot, like you said, with the Stingley, already $30 million a year. It's not looking as crazy. Plus, with all the incentives and stuff, it really comes down to like $17 million a year, which is not bad at all. I think Byron Murphy in general, like, would I have rather just got that deal for Reed? I probably would have. I think I'm still not absolutely convinced Byron Murphy is a legit cornerback one yet. Though he showed he was at that second half of the season last year. So you're kind of banking that was kind of a breakout thing for him in the early parts of the season. I did not think he looked good in coverage, but we were desperate. We needed something at cornerback. I'm glad we made that move. But that wasn't an A move to me. Harrison Smith, obviously we all love him. I wanted him back for sure. Arguably, I mean, I could probably say he's my favorite defensive Viking player in Vikings history, mostly because he's a big part of when I watched them. Obviously, though, you're getting a guy who's 36 years old or whatever, older. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make on this team. We're giving him good money. He got a pay grade. Do I think he's going to be able to produce enough to cover what we are paying him? I don't know about that, but it's Harrison Smith. I would have paid it to him anyways. Aaron Jones, I probably would have boosted this up. We're going to get into the Mason stuff in a little bit here. And I talked to Casey about this before the podcast. In hindsight's 2020, but I do think that Aaron Jones paying him $10 million a year, obviously it's kind of, it's the contract's made out. So that way, like, we could go away from him next year or whatever. I forgot what the guarantees were on his, isn't it still like 13 million?
Something like that. But I know if we cut him next year, it's only $10 million worth of dead or $2 million worth of dead cap, and they save like 10.
Yeah. Which I really like Aaron Jones, and I wanted him to come back. I didn't think we were going to have to pay him $10 million to come back, but getting Mason on top of that makes me feel like maybe I would, and how stacked, this is where the stacked classes come to me, because this running back class is so stacked that I don't know if we really needed Aaron Jones and Mason, where I honestly probably been completely okay if we would have made that Mason trade and we didn't end up bringing Aaron Jones back and we got someone else in the draft. Maybe you do use a third rounder or an earlier pick to complement Mason there. But that's hindsight's 2020. At the very least, I'm pretty happy that we're not fucking around with running back. We're not fucking around with any positions at all. Crazy's not fucking around. He don't give a fuck about the draft, which a lot of you probably know, but he's making sure all these positions are ready to go before the draft. Like, he's making sure this is set. He's not, the fact that we did what we did with Mason and knowing how stacked this running back class is he's making sure that offense is ready to go right now. So I respect that. And Theo Jackson, obviously, you're paying him more than he has shown so far, but we know how hyped he's gotten from the coaches. I'm excited to see him out there. And then Ryan Wright, he was kind of on our list of guys that we didn't bring back, but punters are a weird position. I don't know how easy it is to go find a good one. He did better last year than the year before. But yeah, I mean, overall for me, I'm going to give a B for our re-signings. Yeah, I should probably give it a B plus, but
yeah. And I will say now with obviously Harrison Smith, Theo Jackson, I would not be
I still
shocked
think he is.
If there's a guy they really liked in the first round at safety. I know safety is not the most exciting position, but if there is a guy they really like at 24, I would not be shocked if they decide to go safety in the first round.
Yeah, which scares the shit out of me. And Darren, he's visiting the Bears now, so it has not happened yet. Hey, what's going on, Hef?
But also in my mind, you just got to get through safety for the next 2 or 3 years, and then you draft Coy Parrish. But that's a story for
the safety thing. Obviously, there's a kid from Georgia that everybody's liking, but yeah, I mean, it's just scares you, man. I would have to say I do not want to go safety only because of the scene. It is literally PTSD from the Lewis scene thing. Like, it is. Like, going safety sounds scary now.
But on our screen right now, this is the good of drafting a safety. You could have a guy that's a cornerstone of your franchise for 12 seasons.
Yeah, or he wins the Super Bowl with the Eagles.
One or the other. You never know.
One or the other. And doesn't actually play for them. Next, what do we get here? We had 50% A, 44% B, and 6% C. Hey, Quasi, I mean, these things are, if it's telling me something, it's telling me that Quasi has been cooking.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we do got the Jordan Mason trade. I'll let you. I mean, I already gave some thoughts on that, but I'll let you take this over here.
As soon as this happened, I texted you right away and said I absolutely love this signing. I mean, we saw what he did against us, right? And I know, fantasy football guys, whoever had the first overall pick, drafting Christian McCaffrey, you most likely had Jordan Mason on your roster.
Sure.
And I think the big thing is the way he runs. I guess just looking at first at the fit with him and Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones kind of gives you like, the pass catcher, the speed guy. And then with a guy like Jordan Mason, you're getting kind of the hard-nosed running back who still has a lot of burst and speed. Obviously had obvious big playability from what we saw in his time last year. And pairing those two together is amazing. I honestly loved the trade. I think they extended him for 2 years. I think I can't remember exactly what the money was. But I absolutely love the Jordan Mason signing. He's 25 years old. And the big thing when I look at this, and I understand most talented running back class, in recent memory, I understand all that type of stuff, but this doesn't stop you from drafting a running back. This, as I said, ultimate flexibility for Quasi. He can do whatever he wants, and there's going to be no bad position to draft, because no matter what, you're going to be able to find a good player there, especially at defensive tackle and running back. I get that side of the argument, but I love this. I mean, and that's the big thing as we talk about with Aaron Jones's contract is if you go into next year and let's say Mason plays really, really well and you draft a guy who also plays really well, you move on from Aaron Jones, you take on $2 million dead on your cap and you save 10. And then you're going to have two guys with a guy like Jordan Mason and you pair him with another speed guy. You're going to have that for the next 5 years. So I'm not concerned about trading for a running back. All it costed you was a 6th round pick next year. And then you swapped picks. You did pick up an extra pick from the Ed Ingram trade. So to me, I don't see a lose here. I mean, you're getting a young running back with a ton of potential and upside, and this doesn't stop you from taking part in the most talented running back class in NFL history. So for me, this is a surefire A+. I mean, no matter what, going into next year, you have a running back who plays really, really well in your system, and another running back who's just a hard-nosed runner who is able to take some of the wear and tear that we saw from Aaron Jones last year.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can still draft a running back this year. I love everything about this.
I'm gonna have to go with Dan here, and I'm a little.
But this doesn't. But that's the thing. This doesn't stop you from taking a running back in this
so
draft.
I think
Aaron
it
Jones
stops you from
realistically
taking
here on a 1-year contract.
I don't think that's how that's
gonna work. 3 running backs for the last 3 years. We've had 4 running backs.
I think still you paid $13 million guaranteed, regardless. All right, so I mean this isn't even
over 2 years.
I give it a B plus, just like Dan, and it is because I think the running back group is stacked here. And it's not even Jordan Mason. If we didn't have Aaron Jones, I probably give this an A for sure. But I do think you're paying $16 million. Obviously, yeah, Barkley's getting $20 million a year, but you're paying $16 million a year for both these running backs. Like I said earlier, I think I would have rather, I think Jordan Mason can be a full-time starting running back. I think him, and I think Aaron Jones is going to be good. I think they're going to complement I think we have a fucking a damn good running back group this next season. And I 100% think that, but I'm kind of with Dan where I like these running backs so much in this group. I do think this takes us away from grabbing a guy early, even though I didn't know if I even wanted to early, but I know that just feels out of it for me. I liked guys like Hampton. I liked the guys like Judkins. I liked guys like Caleb Johnson, and those guys are kind of out the window at this point, which could be good because Jordan Mason may be a better version of all of them. Because I really do like what I saw from Jordan Mason for sure. And at this point, so I mean, even going in the draft, I'm 100% thinking that you go and grab a running back no matter what. But now I'm thinking it's going to be with that 5th, or I think it's the second one's technically a 6th now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Though it's swap or whatever. I think obviously getting pretty much Ed Ingram in a pick swap for Jordan Mason is insane. And I like this kid a lot. But I think just how we handled running backs in general, I'm not convinced that was the best way. If you would have got just Jordan Mason and drafted, if you got a Henderson, if you got an RJ, maybe some of it is RJ Harvey. This really feels like this takes RJ Harvey off the table. I think RJ Harvey.
I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way whatsoever.
I do, because RJ Harvey, maybe not. Maybe you're right, because it could be 1 year, but otherwise Aaron Jones is 2 years. RJ Harvey, even though I do think he's one of the best backs in the draft, he's also one of the oldest ones. He's 24 years old. You bring him here in 2 years, he's already 26. It doesn't really make sense. If you go and draft a running back, you probably should draft a younger running back. So I think that's part of it as well. So I guess that's my overall thing here. Hey, Young Smokey, I gotta disagree. Gotta be a plus. I gotta disagree, which is fine. I mean, I gave it a B plus. That's still pretty good. But I appreciate you, dude. And this
is definitely a big thing too. I mean, he is going to be your short yardage back with ability for more, as we've seen against us. We saw it last year multiple times. But again,
I got a B plus on him for sure.
Kwesi gets to do whatever he wants when it comes to the draft. I mean, it's a good, no matter what, it is a good move. And I know, obviously, like you said earlier, hindsight is 2020. If you knew this trade was going to come, would you have re-signed Aaron Jones? Maybe not. But you also got to make moves at that time and what's going to help you at that time. Yeah, and bringing back Aaron Jones was going to be helpful at that time.
I have to nitpick something, Got to nitpick something. But no, I mean, I went back and looked at Jordan Mason, and this kid's a stud, not just because he is there's people, the nickname he was getting was Beast Mode 2.0. So you just got to love that. But what I loved about him, it wasn't just that he can plow people over. He's hard to bring down. He's got some twitch to him. And I think he led the NFL in, what was it?
Yards after contact?
No, not yards after contact. What is it? I can't even think of it right now. I think we're just making players miss. I'm trying to think of the actual term for that. I don't know. I have to look at it. I'd have to look at it. Maybe I'll go look it up in a second here.
Broken tackles?
Missed tackles. Was it just missed tackles? I'll have to go look it up, the exact one. But Bucky Irving was number 2. So it's definitely in that area. But yeah, so I mean, he breaks tight angles and rips free. Exactly. So that's what he is. Like his agility was better than I thought. His cuts were better than I expected. I didn't really pay tons of attention to him outside of like seeing him putting up good stats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Other than the Vikings game, we were there though. So it's a little bit more difficult to like really see what was going on during that time.
Yeah, but I think he had 100 and some yards against us. Yeah.
That's why I like legit think he was top rated, missed tackles 4 straight. Okay, that's probably what it was. Which that's what I was saying. Like it just feels like Jordan, if you asked me like Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones at 10 million a year, or Jordan Mason and one of these running backs that have a little bit more of that Aaron Jones, like more agile type of guy. I mean, I'm maybe going with that younger duo. And a lot of that comes because I think Jordan Mason can be more than a guy that kind of spells Aaron Jones. But I do think having both of them obviously is a huge plus. Mm-hmm. Massive plus.
Yeah.
Everybody else has, out of anybody though, that we have shown and talked about, we got the most A's at 78%, 17% B, 6% C, and a 0% D or F, which is insane on a Saturday night.
Yeah,
for that to happen.
Yeah, and as you said, like if you look at it just in a vacuum, just him by himself, without the running back draft or without Aaron Jones, you are getting a starting quality 25-year-old running back, coming off one of his best seasons. Like, sure, injured last year, I get that, but that's the headline for me. It's a starting caliber 25-year-old running back, and it just plays along with how this offseason has been so far, to where it has just been set yourself up to go BPA and have max flexibility when it comes to the draft.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not even a question. Like I said, Kwesi ain't fucking around. Like he's making sure all these positions of need are good right now. If the season started today, we're good to go. Now the draft is just one giant bonus instead of like hoping we find someone that we need for a position of need. Like we were feeling what we were gonna have to do with the defensive interior.
Yeah.
Huge there. Overall though, let's go to that. Overall grades. What is your thoughts? And then you can end whether or not you think we should extend Kwesi.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna say A-. Like, again, older players, yes. Some players coming off injuries, yes. But if you just look at what this free agency did, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record, made the draft BPA, most flexibility, all that type of stuff. But Kwesi saw needs and addressed them with not just guys that, not just all Isaiah Rodgers type guys who are like, you think that eventually that they're on their way up to their crescendo and eventually they're going to end up being these big time players. He took guys that have past experience and have shown us at all these positions that they can make impacts right away. I understand all that type of stuff. I think, I don't know how you can't look at this, at what he did with all this stuff, and not give him anywhere in the realm of A-. B+, I can understand that. But for me, 100% A-. And my feelings about Kwesi have not changed since last offseason or last season in general. Extend this man right now, because just like with Kevin O'Connell, to where if this season goes well, let's say he drafts amazingly, let's say JJ McCarthy has a solid first season, let's say Dallas Turner explodes, all this type of stuff, he drafts well this year and the team keeps winning, his price is only going to go up. So if you're the Wilfs, extend him now before he's going to end up costing you more money.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you. Obviously, we were in this camp in general as far as extending Kwesi goes, and we were here before. We didn't need free agency. We saw what he was doing. We were against Kirk. We were against Sam Darnold. I definitely held that down. I loved Kwesi's plan to the start. I wasn't like I said, like this is the absolute best case scenario. I didn't even know that was feasible for him to go and do what he did during this last week of free agency, which is why I have to give it an A+. I mean, if it beat my best case scenario, it's an A+ in my books. And he definitely did that. I thought for sure, best case scenario, we go in here, we got our cornerbacks figured out, we got our offensive line. The offensive line ended up, I thought we are going to have Bradbury. So maybe we got 2 guards. We got Byron Murphy back. Maybe we got another cornerback. But the fact that we did the defensive interior thing, and even the fact, even though I gave it a B+, but even what you did with Jordan Mason, you just made sure we didn't have holes on this team. You made sure, even going to get the Tampa Bay swing tackle guy. Like even going Skol, even getting him, like you're just getting depth, and getting Isaiah Rodgers. Like you're just making sure you have all the depth in here. You're not messing around. It's not just you're taking care of injuries. You're taking care of all that stuff.
Yeah,
So to
absolutely.
me, I have to give an easy A+ at this point. We're doing the best, and we're just beating expectations out here of what Kwesi can do, and makes it even more obvious to us, I'm sure, that this was the right move. As far well, should be the right move to extend Kwesi. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. If a lot of that is going to happen after the draft or whatever. But man, so far so good that we're seeing here.
Agreed.
So what did we get on the chat? Again, everybody, just like every show, giving away Vikings rookie cards. Get the hashtag Skols in the comments, like the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. So we got 82% A, 12% B, and 6% C. Hey, that's what we like. We're cooking right now. I forgot we got Steve in here. Steve's the one picking C every time. I know it. I'm surprised he ain't. If I was in a Packer one, I'd be clicking F every time. Every single time. But yeah, going back to some other stuff here, obviously A+, A's. I mean, he's having a hell of a free agency, and our team is feeling definitely Super Bowl contender. We talked about like just what the center signing means, what the guard signing means, and even being able to go out and get a 6th round pick that ultimately kind of turned into Jordan Mason pretty much. For Ingram was big. And then obviously, we tried getting some for Bradbury. I think a lot of people are confused how the hell we got something for Ingram, but could not get anything for Bradbury other than age,
and money. Age and money. Bradbury's on a decent contract. Ingram's still on his rookie deal.
Right.
Houston might have been, obviously Houston's a team that was trying to do some things with their offensive line, which is weird, getting rid of Larry Tunsil and then bringing in Ingram. I just think that's odd. And I think did I hear somewhere that the sixth round pick we got for Ingram was the same one we traded them last year to get up into the first round again? Yeah. I mean, look, it's just, and again, with Bradbury, it was obviously time to move on, which Kwesi did. Still, I think we post June 1st cut saved us about $5 million of cap space. And Ingram, it just goes along with it. Yes, we can sit here all day long and be like, his 2022 draft was shit. Yes, we know that. Do you know who else knows that? Kwesi. Do you know how he knows that? He's getting rid of all of his guys from that first draft. He's deciding, you know what? I messed up. We got to cut ties with these guys, move on from them. And that's exactly what we did with Ingram. Getting anything for Ingram was a plus to me. And I don't know. I think, and then using that again to kind of loop it around and get yourself, get yourself Mason and all that type of stuff.
Right.
I mean, it was time. Again, this just goes back to Kwesi addressing what needed to be addressed, and that was improving along the offensive line. And these two guys were hindering us from doing that. And good riddance. Best of luck in the future to both of you.
Yeah, dude. And it's just another big W's for Kwesi in this, and a lot of it with Bradbury specifically. It's been since Kwesi's been here, it's kind of been like Bradbury every year. People are trying to ask for him to go. It felt like that this year again, and for him just to really go out and make those moves when we had the cap space was just huge. And moving on from Ingram and Bradbury and cutting his losses, even though Ingram's part of the trade back in that, and kind of like one of the last rookies we have left from that draft that is just looking worse and worse as time goes on. But hey, two of them are Super Bowl champions. True. So yeah, I mean, obviously, definitely a solid, or not even solid. I mean, definitely something that needed to happen, and we're just moving on from cutting some fat on this team. So
yeah, and I think something else we can all finally move on from is the Aaron Rodgers rumors.
I don't know if we can yet.
I don't know. See, I've been so back and forth because at first I'm like, I mean, we had a couple shorts out about it. It's JJ McCarthy time. We obviously feel like that's the case. Bringing in another vet for what Aaron Rodgers is going to be doesn't make a ton of sense. And I think we talked about that enough. I guess, I mean, obviously I'll let you kind of go into that. But with me, like, because at first I'm like, no. And then when this thing actually felt like it was getting some legitimate steam, then I'm just like, okay. Then it started to intrigue me a little. Like just thinking like if we got him here, it would totally change this season from like a growth season for McCarthy to just I think we do well enough and then the next couple years after that, I think it would change it from a 3-year trajectory to a straight up, this team has the talent to win a Super Bowl now, and Rodgers is just going to be that guy that gets us there. So I got intrigued with it for a little bit, but the more that, a couple days went on, and it just everything kind of stayed stale. And it was really only The Athletic that was talking about it with Rossini, Mike Silver, and then obviously Alec Lewis being in on it as well. The more that I just kind of started thinking about it and like watching some other people's thoughts on it, it really does feel to me like this is all the agent trying to push the Steelers or the Giants to give Rodgers a little bit more money. Like, look, do I doubt that Kwesi had interest? No, because obviously I do 100% believe Aaron Rodgers would want to come here. I mean, the fun story of following the Brett Favre arc, I get that. What quarterback wouldn't want to come play here? And look, I do believe that Kwesi, Kevin O'Connell, and the Wilfs considered it, because if they're not at least like, oh, this first ballot, no matter how you feel about Rodgers, this first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback wants to come play for us. If you're Kwesi and you don't at least give that consideration, you're not doing your job well. And so they sat down. I do believe they were interested. I don't know if I believe that it ever got to the point where they were thinking about offering him a contract. I don't know. But something that does kind of make me think though, like, look, the NFL used to be where free agency would start on Wednesday. Players would take visits before signing contracts. So really free agency would go from that first Wednesday through the next, kind of the early part of the next week, where now it's basically all done by Monday, Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, there's some signings as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL, especially with March Madness starting to come on, hockey, basketball starting to get, towards the end of their seasons, I would not be surprised if the NFL just said like, hey, we're going to play this story out a little bit here just to keep a big name quarterback and the NFL kind of in the media cycle for just a little bit longer, since free agency stuff, that first wave does kind of die down by the end of that first week. I would not be surprised at all if this was like a media plant just to keep the NFL in the news cycle pretty consistently. So I guess overall, I'm out on the whole Rodgers thing. I toyed with the idea that it might be fun for the first couple days, but it really does feel like all the news is kind of just stagnated now. And I don't know. It just, to me, never felt like, when you really sit back and think about it, it never felt to me like this was a legitimate possibility or that it really made sense at the end of the day. But again, I do believe that there's interest from him. I do believe that there was some interest from our end and we considered it, talked about it in-house. But the fact that you still haven't heard anything yet and there's no absolutes and it's all just like, well, maybe he might not. It's 50-50, depending on who you listen to. I just don't buy it. I just think this is all just a way just to keep the news cycle revolving around the NFL. And it's freaking Aaron Rodgers. It would not surprise me if he's the one just holding this whole thing up, because Aaron Rodgers, we all know he loves attention and he wants the spotlight on him, even when it's not, he's getting to the end of his career. I think this is all just a big ploy. Like, I do think there were conversations that kind of started all this type of stuff, but I don't know. To me, I'm just like, it never really made any sense to me. It's all just media driven is really all media and Rodgers agent driven is all it really comes down to.
Yeah. I mean, on my end, obviously, we share the same GG Sports Podcast Twitter account. I was never on board with Aaron Rodgers at all throughout this entire process. Maybe it got to the point where it was like, well, I was never a hell no, meaning like if we got him and it was 1 year, I don't think it would have just destroyed everything we were doing completely, but I did think that it would hurt. I think it didn't make any sense from what everything Kwesi has done to this point, as far as staying, like letting Kurt go, letting Sam Darnold go, keeping quarterback on a rookie contract, doing everything he did in free agency. It would not make sense to me to go out and pay Aaron Rodgers, which some people want and I was being generous. I was saying like $20 million a year, but it sounds like Rodgers probably is going to get much more than that, more like 30 to 35 million a year. And I was super hell no on that. Yeah. So, I mean, everybody was talking about like, he'll take a team friendly deal. I'm like, that you're talking about fucking Aaron Rodgers. Like, Aaron Rodgers is going to take a team friendly deal. And at this point, it seems like now there's just a report saying that he wants more money, or he wants more money than the Vikings would possibly give him, which who knows if any of that is even true. I'm with you where I'm like, I'm sure there's no question the Vikings had to at least look at it. But the biggest thing for me is I'm just not convinced. Like, what happened? Like, everybody knew that Aaron Rodgers had just a kind of a mid year. Yeah, his stats look pretty solid, but he was not doing Aaron Rodgers things to the point where he was in the bottom of the league in clutch situations. The good thing about one of the best things about Aaron Rodgers was the 2-minute thing. The Aaron Rodgers winning the games when it mattered the most. He was one of the worst in the NFL last year. And all of a sudden, people went from him being mid last season to like, oh, no, it was everybody else on the team besides Rodgers. Yeah, it was literally every other single. Rodgers didn't have any talent on his team at all. But he had Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Devontae Adams. He's like, oh, he only had Devontae Adams for half a year. What are you talking about? Half a year? He had Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams for half a year, and they won 5 games. And Rodgers was ranked 29 out of 33 quarterbacks in first down and clutch situations, in yards per attempt in clutch situations. And I just ultimately do not believe that 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers gives us a better chance to win a Super Bowl than JJ McCarthy. Even if JJ McCarthy hasn't played yet, all those things, I get it. But you're talking about 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who is not the same player he used to be, with JJ McCarthy, who, if there's one player that's came in with this, which is kind of dumb to say right now, but a winning mentality, a guy who has won everywhere he's been. Like, there's not been a player in recent memory coming out of college who has won as much as JJ McCarthy has up to this point in his life. And it makes you feel like JJ McCarthy could come in here and be definitely, I would argue, I think JJ McCarthy could for sure come here and win more games for us than Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers, I just don't think he's the same player. Could Aaron Rodgers come in here and would he be bad? I don't think so. I think Aaron Rodgers coming here would make us a Super Bowl contender. I think JJ McCarthy makes a Super Bowl contender. We could go get Jameis Winston, and I think we'd be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
I mean, the interceptions is scary, but I'm just saying, like, this team is set up. It depends on how much ownership you want to give to quarterbacks, I guess. But this team is set up no matter who your quarterback is, and I think JJ McCarthy could do a good enough job. And I ain't paying Aaron Rodgers $30 million when you're just like, everyone wants to say JJ McCarthy after this 3 years will be able to. We can still like make his financial situation. We're not paying him tons of money for the next few years after that or whatever. The reality is the next 3 years is our financial prime. Like, these 3 years, no matter how you want to push money, this next 3 years is when we are going to be the best position financially before we start pushing money or giving JJ McCarthy money, assuming that's what happens, because he's going to be good. And I still would argue that I think bringing in a quarterback and getting one less year of JJ McCarthy instead of letting him come in and learn, hopefully he learns faster than some people want to think. Because like you said, it's intriguing to not have this like year of fresh quarterback. But at this time, I'm like, but look at like Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix and CJ Stroud. And yeah, it's probably unfair to put him up to their level. But at the same time, why wouldn't you? Why can't you do that when he has the best situation? You're talking about Bo Nix was picked after JJ McCarthy. Why couldn't JJ McCarthy come in and be better than Bo Nix?
Right.
It definitely could be a thing. Or at least be Bo Nix with a way better team. So that's why I'm like, everyone says everything about JJ McCarthy like he can't, like we don't know what we have in him. Yeah, we don't, but you don't either. Yeah, he's a top 10 pick, and he has won everywhere he's gone. That's at least a very good step forward and you could even argue Michigan had good defense. Michigan had good wide receivers, that's not true. Good pass catchers, good running backs, whatever. Good offensive line. So does the Vikings. They have all that shit.
Yeah.
And better.
Well, then you got our favorite Twitter guy who calls him a handoff merchant. I'm just like, I'd pump the brakes on handoff again. But there are a lot of those people that don't watch Michigan football, which I mean, I didn't really like. I was one of those guys when when watching JJ McCarthy, I looked at the stats first and I'm like, nothing too special. You really just got to watch him play and watch how he operates to be like, yeah, if you get this guy a good team, he's going to play well. Right. And look, I'm not one of those, because I mean, then there's another controversy. You had John Bonus, big Twins guy, kind of in the city here, who said like if Aaron Rodgers wins, he would rather risk never seeing the Vikings win a Super Bowl than have Aaron Rodgers win us a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm not that.
Like, look, I'm a Vikings fan through and through. If Aaron Rodgers comes here, I will root for Aaron Rodgers like I rooted for Sam Darnold last year. Like, I'll be like, okay, this is what they want to do. Let's go here. We could probably win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers and his team. Let's see what happens. But I just think the correct course of action is to get a veteran backup, or Brett Rippon, as I called months ago, and roll with JJ McCarthy this year. Because like you said, this team around him is exactly what we wanted to do. Have the money to build a talented team around him, and we're going to have that. So just let McCarthy roll. Let's see what happens. Let him develop. Let him learn on the job. And just, I mean, look, again, this Aaron Rodgers thing, it's fun to think about, fun to talk about. Obviously, people have been talking about it for days now. We can't, this would not be a typical Vikings offseason without some sort of quarterback drama controversy to talk about here, not knowing who to go with. And another thing is, I just don't want to get in the same situation the Packers are with Jordan Love, to where you have such a limited sample size of your quarterback before you need to make that decision to extend him for probably when McCarthy's there. Probably is. I mean, when he's ready to be extended, is probably going to be looking 55, 60 million, if not more, per season if he plays really, really well. So I just don't want to get into that situation either. Like, look, again, offseason stuff, the first wave of free agency is over. It's fun to talk about, but overall, it just does not make sense.
Yeah. I mean, if we didn't have JJ McCarthy, let's say, I mean, at this point, we probably would have brought Sam Darnold back, but let's just say we didn't draft a quarterback yet and we didn't have anybody there. I would have taken Aaron Rodgers. I'd have been like, fuck it. Yeah, let's roll with it. So I don't even like just hate Aaron Rodgers outside of the Packer years or whatever. I actually like him a little better post ayahuasca. And that's one thing one of my buddies said is like he, or what was it? That Aaron Rodgers has,
hey, what's up, AJ?
He's taking the most ego deaths to be like the best at ego deaths. Like he's the guy who takes ayahuasca. And now he's the most enlightened guy on planet Earth. Stuff like that. It's super funny. But that's what, hey, what up, AJ? But that's the thing. It's like, hey, I'm cool with Aaron Rodgers, I guess. Like if we didn't have JJ McCarthy, but I'm more worried about JJ McCarthy's development. He's got everything. You're not throwing JJ McCarthy to the wolves whatsoever. You're giving him the best possible place to start an NFL career as a quarterback that I've ever seen personally. And why would you not let him learn? Like you're just waste a full year of him learning again with that. Like he's going to be able to take this team a long way. Another positive of that, if JJ McCarthy looks obvious he's not ready, it's going to be really fucking obvious. So if this is a good year to put him in there, and if he just completely sucks, which hopefully he doesn't, and I don't think he's going to, but if he does with all this talent that we have, similar to Aaron Rodgers last year, especially in the clutch. But if that does happen, then you know, like, oh shoot, JJ McCarthy might not even, I mean, it could even get to the point where it's obvious that he's not going to be, even if it's his first year. It's like with all this talent, like you don't got room for a lot of excuses, even if it's your first time being a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure.
I think.
But so anyway, Rodgers, no, done. Move on.
Yeah. So long answer short, no. Speaking of that, we got 17% said yes with 83% saying no. JJ McCarthy is the quarterback. Obviously, the only other thing though, it is still fair to say, like, if you're the Vikings, if you're KOC, you're all of them, you can feel pretty confident that JJ McCarthy is going to be completely ready by training camp and all those things and ready for the season, but they can't be 100% sure that he's going to be ready to roll.
Yeah, Arch Manning.
Yeah. But you're not 100% sure. So it's fair to say, like KOC, they need to be looking for guys. I'm surprised they haven't went out and got another quarterback yet, though I think people are exaggerating with all the backup quarterbacks that have been getting picked up, because most of them were like the low tier of backup quarterbacks.
The only one I would have wanted was Gardner Minshew. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, Joe Flacco, you got Tannehill out there, Jameis Winston is a backup quarterback. That would be kind of fun. You get his personality is fun, you know. I would have took it.
Maybe some free taco legs. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's some free crab legs.
Free crab legs. Yeah. Well, luckily, we don't got tons of crab. Well, I don't live there anymore, but it's not a place known for their crab legs up in Minnesota. Anyways, snow crab. You got to watch out for the snow crabs. Right. Hey, what up, Gary? Anyways, keep on rolling here.
Yeah. So I do have the cap numbers pulled up here.
Sweet. And again, everybody, giving away your choice of Vikings rookie cards. Get your hashtag Skol in the comments, like the video, and subscribe.
Yeah. So Over the Cap has us at 32.8 million in cap space. Spot Rack has us right around 30.7 million worth of cap space.
Jesus.
So
All these moves and we have half our money left.
Yeah, so we're right around 30 million. And obviously you do got to factor in there. I believe I saw some more rookies cost usually about 10 to 15 million, depending on how many picks you have. So you got to factor that in. And then you can roll over the last 10% of your cap as well. So maybe that's part of the plan. But I mean, it definitely, I mean, and the fact that you did decide to go with Bradbury as a post June 1st, maybe there is another move in the works. I'm not 100% sure. They might just be giving themselves flexibility because obviously you do got to make sure you have some money mid-season just in case you need to make another signing or something like that. But
right,
I don't know.
That's a lot of money though. That's more money than we've had going into free agency in other years.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is like, that's a lot. It's a lot. And it's interesting because I keep waiting for them to just front load someone's contract or something like that. But even the Bradbury cut was them cutting before June or whatever was a big, like a big salary cap for this year move. And just everything is just keeping as much salary cap as we can have this year, it feels like. And whether like it ends up being like they're just trying to be flexible and things like that, or they do have something in mind, I don't know. But at this point, it wouldn't be crazy for us to see us make another big move. Obviously, free agent wise, which is really annoying that we just kind of have to be careful because of that. We don't want to lose that comp pick like we did last year. Like that was not, I mean, Griffin came in and did a solid job, but obviously losing a 3rd round pick was not fucking worth it.
Would it have been another 3rd though? Or would it have been lower?
I believe it was Daniil. I believe it was a 3rd for Daniil Hunter. Yeah, we lost a 3rd rounder for grabbing Griffin last year, which does suck. Obviously, I think after April 28th, that
you can sign.
Whole thing goes out. You can sign whoever you want. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're waiting around for all of that stuff, which is probably what's going to happen. So I don't know how many moves we make, but maybe it's a big trade does come. At this point, who knows? We're making trades. We're making free agent signs. We're doing all these kinds of things. So, but it is interesting to see. I wasn't really expecting to come out here and make I didn't think it was possible to make the moves we did, but to do that and only use half our cap space. Yeah, I don't fucking know. Every single year you think you're starting to kind of understand the cap space thing a little bit, and all of a sudden some new shit like this happens and you're like, okay, I need to like go back and check this out.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, everybody, let's do this giveaway. So everybody, again, any card you want, any Viking card, rookie card, hashtag Skol in the comments. If you win, 5 people make it to the duck race. Whoever wins the duck race makes it to or whoever wins the duck race wins the whole thing. So get those hashtag Skols in the comments. Oh yeah, I forgot. Hello. See, I can't even, that's what sucks. I love, I'm part, well, a little bit Irish. And I'm sure that's this weekend, right? For you, you're celebrating this weekend for that.
I mean, I think it would have been this past weekend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it makes sense because today is Monday. But of course, on this podcast, there's no wearing green here. So can't be doing that. Yeah, if we got Will Johnson, that's just, and I saw you guys talking about that earlier. I meant to bring that back up. Yeah, that's a situation that I just don't think is going to happen unless we trade up. I've seen a couple mocks where he did land to the Vikings there, but I'm like, you guys probably skewed some stuff with the settings for that to happen, because there's no way Will Johnson drops to 24. But if he is, that's probably the most no-brainer pick in this entire draft, besides maybe like Mason Graham. All the Michigan boys. But yeah, no, I'll take Will Johnson in an absolute heartbeat. That would be that'd be fucking crazy.
And I guess one more thing going back to the Rodgers thing is, I guess, reading on Twitter, and it is a little bit odd that the Vikings themselves haven't came out and just said like, no, none of this is true, right? The fact that they like haven't necessarily shot anything down yet.
Maybe the Vikings like the attention too.
Again, or like I said, it's the NFL planting a story just so like you can't say anything. Just let us roll with this, please. We need something to get clicks. I mean, I could definitely see that happen.
It wouldn't be the first time. I mean, literally the media. We went through it with Kirk Cousins. We went through it with Darnold. We went through it. Like, all these guys are saying the Vikings need to sign Sam Darnold. Look what he did last year. You'd be stupid. And then we don't sign him. And then Kwesi makes all these moves. And then it's like, oh, the Vikings are Super Bowl contenders. Now they got to go get Aaron Rodgers. Like, I don't know. You can't even trust. Of course, if there's a story out there, they're going to lean into it heavy. That's just how this shit works for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let me get this thing up here. Let's go over here.
Timberwolves are tied at 10-10 right now. Nice little run. They haven't lost a game in March.
Their 8-game win streak.
I think so. Sounds right.
Let's see here. Yeah, I know. I think 11 is the franchise record, and we have a good shot because we have Pacers, New Orleans twice, who are pretty mid, and then Pacers again.
The Pacers, at least tonight, are Halliburton lists, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, are they? Oh, dang. Well, that's their best player, so that's not good for them. All right, let's get this rolling. 3, 2, 1. Pick names got to be here to make it to the next round. Y'all know the rules. By the way, everybody, FT Maddie, you got to be here. So I don't know what the plan is yet for next Monday, but I for sure will not be here. I should by that point I should have my very first child. So yeah, shit gets real this week for me, I guess. But I won't be here on Monday.
Still deciding whether or not we'll roll solo. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll let you all know what the plan is, but FT Maddie. Oh, yep, he's here. All right, let's keep on rolling. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, dude, I'm pumped. Was nervous. My nerves kind of, hey, there's Dan. I think I've kind of gotten into like acceptance mode now, maybe. I don't know. It's going to be obviously crazy. For any of you dads out there, y'all already know. All right, Dan, I know you're in here. Let's keep on rolling. It's a boy. We got a boy. I'm definitely going to be the dad that makes my kid live my dream and not his. At least until that becomes an issue. Nors is in the building, I believe. Yes, sir.
I mean, but if he wants to complete your dreams, he's gonna have to be a little taller than you. Hopefully, he gets height from.
I mean, that's the only problem. Hockey's like the only sport that you don't need height for. Soccer, the two sports I don't pay a lot of attention for.
So damn expensive though. Ugh.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be the shortest point guard ever. Or no, hey, the white cornerback thing's becoming a thing. You know, the white cornerback. You can be a 5'9" cornerback.
5'10", 5'10",
Yeah. We're looking good there. Slot receiver, running back, still
the next
possible.
Cooper DeJean.
I think Kinetic's not here. I know he left, so I'm gonna keep rolling. Next, Russell Wilson, 5'10" quarterback, 5'9" maybe. No, we'll see. My Yogi, I don't know if he's still in here. My father-in-law and some of my wife's dad's side, they got some height over there, so I'm kind of banking on that.
There you go.
We'll see, though. It's going to be a long time before I get to find out. All right. Keep it on rolling here. I don't think Yogi, unless you're in here. AJ, are you in here? I know you popped in not too long ago. Hey, appreciate you. No, it's going to be crazy. I'm excited.
AJ is in.
Hey, there he is. All right, I'm going to keep rolling. Unless Yogi pops in, I'll just add another one. Boom, boom. Adam. When was the last time we seen Adam? Gary?
Thought it was a bit ago. Not too long ago.
7:23. Adam, you in here?
Oh, yeah. He's here.
Hey, Adam, this is the year to go full on Vikings, though, for real. This is the one. It's time. This is the perfect opportunity to jump ship from the 49ers. That's a train wreck over there. We got their best running back easy. We're doing good here.
They're about
All
to
right, we
drop
got everything.
$30 million on Brock Purdy.
Yeah, 30 million on Brock Purdy after giving Ayuk one of the best wide receiver contracts, which was already which was not worth it, and then he was injured all year. It's time to jump ship.
That is like they definitely missed their Super Bowl window. Like,
I know it sucked. They had a good the Eagles took over, and they got it their first year. Now we're about to take over that, and we're gonna get at least
like 7 of them in the next 10 years.
Yeah, something like that. At least 3 in a row. JJ McCarthy coming off 3 Super Bowls straight. That's what's happening. All right, we got the name.
McCarthy's going to be the first $100 million a year quarterback. Just watch.
Hey, bro, if he wins us 1 Super Bowl, give him all the money. Give him everybody's money.
Trophy. Give him or build him a statue up front.
Yep.
Right next to Kevin O'Connell.
Everything. FT Matty, Dan, Norris, AJ, and Adam. We got it. 45 seconds on the clock. 9 for our quarterback quarterback right now, but quarterback that's bringing us to a Super Bowl as soon as next year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I know. We know. He bleeds purple deep down. We all know. What do you think? I don't think we've seen beach duck before.
We have not. I like it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Boom. And we are up with FT Matty taking the early lead. It's tight up at the top. Yep, Superman's in the lead. I don't know. AJ's chilling. I ain't sleeping on AJ. There's something about his duck that is just... He's up to something. That or he's just super stoned. He does kind of look like he could be super stoned.
No, you're right. To take steadily creeping towards you.
He'll be steady.
I think he's
chilling.
Nope.
Maybe he's a little bit too chill.
Oh
no, Adam ain't messing around.
What a bounce.
AKA Viking fan. Boom. What are you thinking, dude? Obviously, a lot of Viking cards. I feel like you need a JJ McCarthy. I don't know if you have one yet, unless you already have one. That's a sign. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. I'm just telling you. I don't know a lot about that shit, or even believe in a lot of it, but I think I do now. What are we thinking, Adam? You get to choose a card. I mean, I probably have some 49ers cards somewhere, even though I sold a lot of them their last Super Bowl. But I feel like you need the Viking cards. Is that what you want? JJ card?
That's a good one. Might make you a lot of money soon, too.
I don't win more than 49ers. Facts. All right, I'm doing it, Adam. I'm giving you a JJ McCarthy card. It's just got to happen. I'll get back to you on the card. I'll take a Vikings card. Oh, well, yeah, you can hit me up on that anytime you want. It don't matter. But obviously, JJ is the future. Deal? Okay. Deal on which part? JJ or getting back to me? Either or.
But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. As we mentioned, we'll see what happens for next Monday. We will keep you in the loop on that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be on Bleacher Report Wednesday if you guys want to hop on there and join us. Yeah, thank you guys so much. See you next time.
Skol Vikes.